So that also differs from island to island. It's super interesting. Everything from the climate to the crime to commerce, everything. So Brava, crime didn't even exist. Like, I didn't even hear of one thing. I heard of like one fight that happened once, and people were like, and everyone knew about it with like in an hour. It was crazy. So Brava, just the safest area ever. But if you go to like the big cities, for instance, the capital city, Praia, or São Felipe in Fogo, or São Vicente, Mindelo, then you're going to have some problems. But generally, I know that the president is very sensible and he wants to put people in safe areas. So we have some rules like, yeah, don't go to certain areas after dark, something like that. And we've been able to be really safe. If you are worried about crime, then don't bring your camera with you proselyting, because it's common that things could get swiped or something. I don't know, just be smart with your stuff. Just be careful. I'm not a paranoid person, so I probably wasn't as careful as I could have been. But I ended up being okay, so it was fine. Our houses are really nice, actually. They always get really nice houses. There's no carpet. It's always tile on the ground. But one of my houses, the one I had in Mayo, actually had an air conditioner. None of the other houses I'd been to had air conditioning. And so that's something you have to live with. You have to get used to fans. Especially in the summer, it gets super, super hot. I was like in the coldest area for winter and the hottest for summer. And luckily, the hottest for summer was the house I had air conditioning. Otherwise, I would have died. Because it's hot and it's really humid because it's an island. But, the funny thing is, it's not as humid as you might think, because it's sort of a desert climate because of the winds that come off of Africa. Anyway, prepare for extreme weather. Prepare for really hot stuff. So don't bring heavy clothes, bring lighter clothes, and probably try different types of garments that are easier and stuff. The people are always really friendly. They expect you to greet them in the streets, and so do so, because a lot of people remember you if you do or if you don't. Sometimes they're like, you never say hi to me in the street, and you're like, sorry, So especially as missionaries too, be sure to do that, because everyone loves to do that. Wildlife is like non-existent. You'd think Africa, like, oh, there must be like tigers or actually lions. No, like the most ferocious animal in Cape Verde is a dog. Like, they just have stray dogs. The only animals there, they don't even have snakes. There are no snakes. It's crazy. Like, there's no animals that can actually harm you. So, like, don't be afraid. They just have donkeys. They have cows, a lot of cows and dogs and cats. And the history, like I said, is, the Portuguese came down. And so that's why they all speak Portuguese and have that Christian base. They're really family oriented and they love cooking. Like, I feel like for women that don't work, like half of their day is spent cooking. They wake up, they cook breakfast, and then they clean up breakfast, and then they start cooking lunch, and then they eat lunch, and they clean up lunch, and the same with dinner. It's wonderful, and a lot of their foods are just really, really good. The national dish is something called Kasuba, or cachupa. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's sort of like a stew, I guess, with anything. You can throw anything into it, basically, but the base is this special kind of corn that they just let simmer and soak for a really, really long time. So it's just really nice and chewy and really, really good. They make a lot of fish. So in terms of like professions, you can find a lot of fishermen, a lot of carpenters too. There's a lot of people that make really nice woodwork. A lot of seamstresses. Yeah, a lot of like fruit vendors on the street, like everywhere. You can buy food off the street. You can buy any type of fruit. It's just so fun. That was one of the things I missed most, is just so many people on the street, and you can just meet people all the time. It's like impossible not to find someone to teach. And that can also pose difficulty too, because you see people all the time, and your inventory of people to teach can go from 0 to 100 in one day, but then they fall off really quickly because some of them just don't progress. And so it's important to not just like let your inventory go down and down and down and down and down and then like spike, because you just should keep it consistent and keep it focused on helping people progress. They're just lovely people, so friendly. And so, I mean, you're never going to have, not like other missions where you have to search for people to teach all the time. It's like they fall out of the sky. Like, that's a huge blessing about that mission, but it is harder to keep them. And so you have to be really diligent. You have to make sure that they know your expectations right from the get-go. Something that I relied a lot on was in Preach My Gospel, there's the how to begin teaching points. People need to know your relationship to them right off, because they're going to be enchanted with your white face. And I say that, but it's true, like, because they're very intrigued by foreigners, and they think we have a lot of money. And so I'm not saying that's always the case, but a lot of them, they're confused as to why we're there. Sometimes they just think we're there to be nice and talk about the Word of God, which is true, but we need to make it clear to them that we're there to bless their life and to help them change it. And if you're pretty clear about that from the get-go, then you can see pretty quick who's going to progress and who's not, and you can move on. And moving on doesn't mean you're giving up on them. You can always remember them, and also, yeah, write in your area book. I have to admit, I wasn't the best at that, but I found it really helpful when people did it before, because we were able to find people, and they were more ready than they were before to accept the truth, and we had a lot of success that way. So